What are you doing down there? What's that? Plantain? Now today I've brought you down into the woodland garden to have a look at this rather unusual specimen. It's actually quite a common plant, and usually where this plant will grow is in fields and roadsides. I mean, basically it's what most people would call a weed. It just depends how you distinguish it, doesn't it? You know, a weed is an unwanted plant. In the forest garden, I just had to do a video about this, because usually you'll see this growing in the cracks of pavements and things like that, and people are generally trying to get rid of it. But you know, in the forest garden here, in the dabbled shade, where not much else likes to grow, it's got quite an interesting form actually. It's quite a beautiful plant. And I mean, there's a lot of folklore attached with this plant, and there's also a lot of medicinal benefits, a lot of well-researched medicinal benefits of this plant. I mean, what you can do, if you have a look here, is, you know, this plant has anti-inflammatory and antiseptic qualities, and this is the sort of typical Ribwort Plantain, Lesser Plantain. There's a few different names for it. Leaves with the ribs in, and you can actually chew that up and put that on a cut if you're out and about and you don't have any first aid kit, and it will actually stop the pain and it will stop the irritation. So, you know, it's a useful one to have, but generally I've heard that this has a good cleansing effect on the liver. So what I will do, if I do a hangover cure or I do a bolognese sauce, I always come out here and I just get a few of these leaves and I just chop them up finely. And what I'll usually do, even if I have a curry, I'll put the tomato base in the blender, and I always come out and get a few of these medicinal herbs and I will just blend them up in the mix, because, you know, there's a lot of chemicals in these wild plants. They're only just finding out just how beneficial they are to the body, and some of them, you know, can even help in the remission of cancerous cells. Not necessarily, I'm telling you, it's going to cure cancer, but there's been a lot of interesting stuff, things like turmeric, and there's a lot of things about plants today we don't know about. There's a lot of stuff science still can't explain. So I always try and integrate a little bit of these sort of things into my cooking. Always research what you're doing, you know. Don't want you sort of keeling over and then telling that Paulo told you eat it and me getting in trouble, because that wouldn't be very good. But I mean, this is certainly a well-known edible. Certainly would acknowledge if you've got some growing around. What I do is I have some that sort of pop up every now and then, and I've generally just left them to go to seed. Now their seed heads are very interesting. If I pull one of these out, I mean, just look at the length of that. If we get a close-up on that, it's got these, there's up to sort of 200 seeds in these bracts. They're called bracts, these. And what you can do is you can actually grind these up, collect these like its other cousin, the greater plantain, and you can let them dry out, grind them up, and use them as a sort of grain, really, and mix them with flour and make a biscuit, if you like that sort of thing. I'm not really a biscuit person. My wife likes a biscuit. Yeah, I mean, one thing I've noticed as well about the seed heads is when I let the chickens walk through the woodland garden, they love the seeds of this. So there's probably some sort of good medicinal, and the wild birds will come down and they will peck at these. So one thing an old bushcraft guy said, I remember on a documentary I watched once, he said, eat what the chickens eat, or eat what the birds eat. And it's always amazed me, in a place where I grow things, some things are poisonous, you know, or some parts of plants are poisonous, but I always wondered, why is it that chickens just walk around and know what to eat? They almost have an ingrained knowledge of what they can eat. I mean, the digitalis here, you know, that's got poisonous elements to the plant. I don't see any animals eating the flowers or the seeds. So, you know, I always say if birds eat it, it's probably good. So I haven't tried to eat the seeds, but that's definitely one you should think of. So the plant is native to Eurasia, and as I say, in the right condition, it's not a bad looking plant. So again, if you're trying to fill an area that's shady, that's the difficult conditions, and you want a plant there that will give you a bit of a leaf crop, then I'd certainly give this one a go. You probably won't even have to buy seeds for it. You'll just eventually find one growing locally to you if you know what to look for. They have that rosette forming leaf structure, which is, you know, very beneficial for staying away from grazing animals. Most weeds that you find in your lawn, the dandelions, they have that rosette forming, and as the grazers come and graze, they can survive that grazing. And this is one of the ways that they've managed to spread pretty much. This one has spread pretty much across the temperate world now. So, you know, it's very, very widespread, very, very easy to find and use. Usually what you would do out of this is you will make a herbal tea, and you can use that for cough remedy. I think that's the most traditional one that they use it for, cough, things like that. So anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. So yeah, generally a good purifier, purifying the liver, things like that. I mean, the leaves, if we just do a little taste test, if I use a young leaf here. Yeah, it's got a bitterness to it. Again, just something to add to sauces and things like that. It's not a bad taste, personally. I quite like it. Nothing too terrible about it. So there you have it. Ribwort Plantain, Lesser Plantain. It's quite a common plant. Give it a bit of love and somewhere to grow, and it will reward you with quite an elegant form. It's very widespread. It's available all year. It's very, very medicinal. I would say give it a go. Get out there and grow some. Or find some, whichever way you want to do it.